Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Tuesday, February 1st. So we're on the first day of February now. And with that being said, hopefully you all had a really good January overall, whether it's NBA DFS, life, anything else like that. But if you're joining my channel for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they ultimately ended up turning out. Then we'll get moved over to RotoWire, talk about the injuries in play. It's a 4-game main slate today. There is only one team on the back-to-back, and that's going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then after that, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and FanDuel and talk about my core picks for today, which is going to be one player at each position. So point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get started with that recap of yesterday's picks. On the DraftKings side, at point guard, we had Jaden Hardy, $4,400. Looking for at least 22 out. Got to 20.5, so unfortunately was a mess yesterday. Played 31 minutes in this game. He was 6 for 14 shooting from the field, so not too bad in that regard, but was mainly scoring dependent yesterday. He did have 5 turnovers as well. So if you knock it down to like 2 turnovers, he would have paid off, but still was looking for a little bit more out of him at the end of the day at that as well. Then at shooting guard, we went Jalen Green, $6,500. Look for at least 33 out. He got to 53 yesterday, so he was a really big hit once again. He's been on a real good hot streak as of late. Then the small forward, we had Jimmy Butler, $7,200. Looking for at least 36 out. Got to 51.25, so he was a really good hit once again. So it's kind of nice to see him healthy, and if his price tag is going to be this low for a while, we're probably going to take advantage of it more times than not. And then at power forward, we had Jabari Smith Jr. He is $5,700, looking for 28-29 out of him. Unfortunately, a really poor game for him, 3.25, so he was a mess. Only played 22 minutes in this game. He was coming off a return where he played 36 minutes, but he was also 0 for 6 shooting from the field. So he had a steal and a rebound in this game and nothing else, which was really, really unfortunate overall. But, that's just something that we could not project heading into the day. You would expect him to play at least 30 minutes. You expect him to do a little bit of something. So kind of the 1%, 0% outcome here for Jabari Smith Jr. overall, unfortunately. Then at the center position, initially we had Jalen Williams, thought Chet Holmgren might be out. Once we got news that Nikola Jokic was out, said that he could swap over to DeAndre Jordan. He was $4,000. Unfortunately, did not end up in the starting lineup, and Denver chose not to play him at all yesterday. So he got a big fat goose egg, so he was a mess. A guy that really just didn't pan out for us yesterday, a real pickle if you want to call him that. So he didn't start. He didn't play in this game. He had been the backup center for their last however many 20 recent games, but they went with Payne Watson in that starting lineup, whether you call him the starting center or Aaron Gordon. That kind of remains to be seen. And then Zeke Naji kind of played that backup role off the bench in this game, going against Oklahoma City, who is, a little bit more versatile overall. So maybe it made sense from a matchup perspective. But at the same time, you'd at least expect DeAndre Jordan to play 18 minutes off the bench at the very least in this game. And then I said, once he wasn't starting, once we got news that Richaun Holmes was starting at $3,000, said you could swap over to him. You're looking for at least 15 out. He got to 33.5. So he was one of the better hits on yesterday's slate overall. So 11 times value there. So can't do much better than that. So he was a really strong play if you got to him. So it was a little bit of an unfortunate day on the DraftKings side overall. Myself, I swapped over half my lineups to Richaun Holmes, kept DeAndre Jordan in the other half. So half of them were pretty much dead on arrival. And then Jabari Smith, obviously, with that 1% outcome, did not help us whatsoever. Then on the FanDuel side, we had Kobe White, $7,600, looking for 38 fantasy points. Got to 53.9, so he was a really good hit on yesterday's slate. We had Jaden Hardy at shooting guard, $5,100, looking for 25, 26 out. Got to 18.4, so he was a mess. Like I said, on DraftKings, he played 31 minutes, 6 for 14 shooting from the field. Not too bad in that regard, mainly scoring dependent. And the 5 turnovers were a big killer for him on the FanDuel side as well. Then we had Tim Hardaway Jr., his teammate, at $6,400. Looking for at least 32 out. Got 25.6, so unfortunately he was a miss as well. 32 minutes, 5 for 16 shooting from the field, 2 for 10 from three-point land. So not very good there overall. It was really just scoring dependent as well, so kind of an unfortunate day for him overall. And then we have Maxi Kleber, who at $3,800 looking for 19 out, got 6.4, so he was a mess as well. 18 minutes is what we got out of him. Kind of expected a little bit more from scoring perspective out of him, a little bit more just in general, but he has not done it as of late, unfortunately. And then DeAndre Jordan, we know that situation once again, $4,500. Got the big fat goose egg since he did not play in the game overall yesterday, which was something we did not expect whatsoever. But if he did get switched over to Richaun Holmes, $3,600. Looking for at least 18 out. He got to 33.5, so he was a hit over there as well. So once again, pretty hit or miss day just in general. Was kind of chasing some of the Dallas Mavericks value, which ultimately did not end up being too great of a value overall, besides Richaun Holmes and Josh Green. Those were the two main guys for them overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to RotoWire and talk about those injuries in play for tonight's slate overall. Once again, it's a 4-game main slate. There is only one team on the back-to-back, and that's going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers for tonight overall. But we'll get started with the Los Angeles Lakers, who have Gabe Vincent and Cam Reddish both out once again. LeBron James and Anthony Davis both listed as questionable to play. We'll see whether or not Anthony Davis is back tonight. He did miss their most recent game. And then on the Boston Celtics side, we got Luke Cornett upgraded to questionable for tonight's game due to his hamstring injury. It looks like Kristaps Porzingis should be back for this game as well. I don't remember if he played in their last game or not. I think I did miss the slate that game did happen, so do apologize for that. Then we get over to the Indiana Pacers with Tyrese Haliburton listed as questionable, although he does have the green tag next to him, but he is technically listed as questionable for tonight's slate. Then we have Benedict Mathurin also listed as questionable. I believe he's dealing with like a toe injury. TJ McConnell listed as questionable due to an illness. He missed their most recent game. And then Jalen Smith questionable due to back injury, who was able to play in their most recent game. So we'll kind of see what this Pacers team looks like as the day moves along. Potentially some value that does open up throughout the day. Then on the opposite side, we got the New York Knicks with Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson both out once again. OG Anunoby is listed as questionable. He's missed their 2 most recent games. And then Quentin Grimes does join him as being listed as questionable today. So if OG Anunoby and Quentin Grimes are both out once again tonight, you're going to see Precious Achiuwa in that starting lineup. And we're going to get pretty deep into this bench. We might even get an Evan Fournier sighting tonight overall. Once again, the Cleveland Cavaliers are on the back-to-back, so we'll see what their injury report looks like as the day moves along. So kind of expect that, later this afternoon. It'd probably be like around 2 o'clock, but it might be a little bit later than that too, since this game is at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Then on the Memphis Grizzlies side, we have Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark, Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, and Zaire Williams all listed as out once again. And then Luke Kennard, Derrick Rose, both listed as doubtful, and John Konchar is listed as questionable. So pretty similar to what we seen out of them in their most recent game. I believe their most recent game, Vince Williams did not play in, though. So he'll be in that starting lineup. Safe to assume him, Jaren Jackson are both going to start. Scottie Pippen Jr. probably has earned himself a role in starting at this point in time. We'll obviously see whether or not Konchar starts. If he doesn't, maybe Vince Williams slides over that shooting guard position, and then we either see like Santi Aldama or David Roddy in that starting lineup overall. And then we'll see once again if they want to go with Xavier Tillman at that center position or Jaren Jackson Jr. just in general. Then last but not least, we move down to the Philadelphia 76ers, who have Robert Covington, Joel Embiid, Kenny Lofton, and DeAnthony Melton all out once again. We got Marcus Morris Sr. listed as doubtful for tonight's game, and then Tyrese Maxey and Nick Batum both listed as questionable. So could be some pretty good value opening up on this Philadelphia 76ers team overall, although some of these guys have missed quite a few games at this point in time, so their price tags have been elevated for the other players. But if Tyrese Maxey's out and some of these other guys, could be a pretty decent opportunity for guys like Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris, and maybe even Paul Reed tonight, who is priced up on both sites at this point in time. Then on the Utah Jazz side, they are all the way healthy at this point in time. We'll see if anything does change with them throughout the day, though. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate. Once again, it's only a 4-game main slate overall. There's the one team in the Cleveland Cavaliers on the back-to-back, so we'll keep an eye on them as the day moves along. And then, as always, I will be posting all the other injury updates down in the comments below, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So on the DraftKings side at the point guard position, we're going to go with Scottie Pippen Jr. He is $4,700. He's been in that starting lineup a couple times for them now at this point in time. They are still really depleted at that guard position just in general. He appears to be ahead of Jacob Gilyard at this point in time, which is kind of nice to see. He is a guy that does have some pretty high basketball IQ. He's a guy that can do pretty well when given the minutes. So do like a little bit of the upside that he has. $4,700, probably too cheap of a price tag for him now at this point in time. Probably should be closer to like $5,200. We're looking for 23, 24 points out. Currently, I'm projected for about 27 tonight. If John Konchar is out, it's going to look even better for him as well. Then at shooting guard, we're going to go with Colin Sexton. He is $6,600, looking for 33 points out, averaging 29 so far on the season. Going against a pretty depleted Philadelphia 76ers team tonight. Should be a pretty favorable matchup for him just in general. If he's out there on the court, if he's playing well, he's getting the minutes, he's going to pay off at this price tag once again. Like I said, you're looking for 33 points out. Currently, I'm projected for about 35, 36. Definitely does have some pretty strong upside for more at the same time as well. Then at small forward, we're going to go with Josh Hart. He's $6,300. Guy that's been playing big minutes as of late with that depleted roster of the New York Knicks. If he's going out there, he's playing 32-plus minutes. He's going to pay off at this price tag. We're looking for 31, 32 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for about 32, 33 tonight. Definitely could have some upside for more, especially in a pace-up spot tonight versus the Indiana Pacers as well. And then at power forward, we're going to go down to G.G. Jackson. He might be listed as Gregory Jackson on DraftKings as well. For the Memphis Grizzlies, he's a rookie. He's $4,900, looking for 24, 25. He's actually played really well as of late, been getting some extra minutes with all the injuries for this Memphis Grizzlies team overall. Obviously, like with Vince Williams back and potentially John Conchar back as well, he might get a little bit of reduction there, but I think with the way he's played as of late, he definitely warrants some extra minutes just to kind of see what they have in him in general. So kind of depending on the news of the day, if any other value opens up, he might be a guy that changes throughout the day. But at least early on at $4,900, looking for that 24, 25. Currently I'm projected for like 25, 26 tonight. Looks like a decent value overall. We'll also see who is playing or who's not playing for this Cleveland Cavaliers team overall tonight. Would expect them to rest a couple guys, especially, like Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, who just did come back from injury. And then at the center position, we're going to go with John Collins here. He's $5,900. He gets the easier matchup tonight versus the Philadelphia 76ers, especially with no Joel Embiid. So he's going to get some Paul Reed. He's going to get some Mo Bamba just in general. Should be a pretty favorable matchup for him. He's actually been playing bigger minutes as of late and been playing pretty well in those minutes. So $5,900, you're looking for 29 points. Essentially has been averaging so far on the season. Currently, I'm projected for about 30, 31 tonight. Could have a little bit upside for more at the same time as well. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $21,600 remaining, $7,200 per player. So a good amount of money left over. Definitely some opportunities to pay up for a stud player if that's something you want to do. Not too many major studs on tonight's slate, but there definitely could be some that ultimately do end up paying off just in general. Whether you want to get to like a Donovan Mitchell, a Jalen Brunson with no Julius Randle, it could be a pretty appealing there just in general. So a lot of different ways that we could approach tonight's slate. Obviously, a lot of the news that does come out throughout the day could affect, like our core picks and some of the other value plays that we do play throughout the day as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So at the point guard position, once again, we're going to go with Scottie Pippen Jr. He is $4,700 on FanDuel as well. Like I said on DraftKings, probably should be closer to $5,200 at this point in time. If he's out there, if he's in that starting lineup, once again, if he's getting 30 minutes, he's going to look like a pretty good play overall. Looking for 23, 24 points at him. And I do currently have him projected for 27 FanDuel points as well tonight. Definitely a guy that could have a little bit of upside for more, maybe a little bit of downside for less, especially if he does not end up in that starting lineup as well. Then at the shooting guard position, I'm just going to flat out say it. Shooting guard's kind of a mess today on FanDuel overall. It's ultimately going to be determined based on some of these injuries, some of that news that does come out throughout the day. So definitely be sure to look at the updated core in terms of the shooting guard. But for the purposes of today's video, the guy that I want to throw in there is Donovan Mitchell. Been playing really well as of late. There is always a chance that he could sit in this game as well. But I do think with Darius Garland coming back, with Evan Mobley coming back, those guys are probably going to sit tonight. There is a chance that Karis LeVert could sit tonight at the same time as well, which would make it less likely that Donovan Mitchell does, unless they're just kind of sitting everybody, which could be the case, especially against the shorthanded Memphis team. Maybe they think they can win against Memphis with a lot of their backup players. And in that case, then Craig Porter Jr. would probably look pretty good at kind of being that de facto point guard, the last guy left that could play that point guard position, but that's a story for a different day. Donovan Mitchell, if he plays, do like him quite a bit. He's had really strong upside as of late, and it is a shorthanded Memphis team. Should be a game that is pretty winnable for this Cleveland Cavaliers team. You're looking for 51, 52 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for about 53 tonight, but definitely does have some pretty strong upside for more at the same time as well. Then we're going to move down to small forward with Josh Hart, $6,500, looking for 32, 33 out of him. Going against the Pacers tonight, it's a pace-up spot. The New York Knicks are really shorthanded at this point in time. We'll see whether or not OG Anunoby ends up playing tonight. We'll see whether or not Quentin Grimes ends up playing tonight. So there's pretty much all the minutes in the world that Josh Hart can handle tonight overall. Currently having projected for about 33, 34 on the FanDuel side tonight. He is a guy that can contribute in a lot of different ways, and I do believe he's coming off a triple-double in their last game too, if I remember correctly. I'm going to look at that real quick just since I'm kind of curious. So his last game, he did have 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. So he is coming off a triple-double, a 46 fantasy point game over on FanDuel. So that is one that is going to be very attractive for him just in general. And if he's out there, if he's getting those minutes, he's going to be really good once again overall. Then at power forward, we're going to go with G.G. Jackson. Once again, $5,200. Like I said about him on the DraftKings side, there is a chance with some of these Memphis guys, Vince Williams and John Concher, potentially being back, that this pick could change throughout the day. But at the same time, I think he's kind of earned extra minutes with the play that he's shown as of late. And if they're either getting blown out by Cleveland, which could be the case, or if Cleveland's playing a bunch of backups, he could get some extra run at the same time as well. At $5,200, looking for 26 fantasy points out. I currently am projected right around, like 25, 26. Could have a little bit of upside for more. Definitely could have some downside for less at the same time as well. And then last but not least, at the center position on the FanDuel side, I'm going with Precious Achiuwa here. He is $5,900. I think there's a pretty good chance OG Anunoby ends up sitting once again tonight, which would insert Precious Achiuwa into that starting lineup once again, playing pretty big minutes with their depleted roster at this point in time. Looking for 29, 30 points out of him. Pretty much what I do kind of have him projected for tonight, right around that 30-point mark. It's a pace-up spot versus the Indiana Pacers in general, so might be a little bit more favorable spot for him as well. Doesn't look like too much great value at the center position overall on FanDuel today, but he is definitely a guy that could stand out, if he ultimately ends up in that starting lineup and playing big minutes once again. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you'll have $27,400 remaining. Just over $6,800 per player, so a little bit of room and flexibility to be had there. Looks a little bit more like a balanced build type of day. Obviously, depending on that shooting guard situation, if we switch off Donovan Mitchell to somebody that would be cheaper, then we could have some money to spend up elsewhere. It's going to be a pretty interesting day overall. A lot of things are going to be determined based on the injury news that does come out throughout the day. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, February 1st. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I do ask that you please note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then, as always, I'll be posting all the injury updates as they do come out throughout the day down in the comments below, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. And then I will have my updated core posted about 15 to 20 minutes prior to lock as a pinned comment. If there's any other additional changes to that updated core after that point in time, I will leave them as a reply to the pinned comment as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we just have NBA DFS going on. In terms of the core pick videos, Monday through Friday. Obviously, once we get around to MLB season, we'll be covering that. And then once the UFL comes back around, hopefully there's some DFS for that again. Gotta love the spring football. We'll be doing some content for that as well. So definitely be on the lookout for that stuff. That content will be coming at the end of March when those seasons do start up as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user to any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, you make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match on your initial deposit up to $100. For BetUS, it's 125% match on your initial deposit up to $2,500. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. Helps you guys out as you start your sports betting, your prop betting journey. Helps me out a little bit on the side as well. And then if you do have any other additional questions related to that, feel free to drop them down in the comments or reach out to me on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.